legends shoot this up to 10. The airways belong to disciple when the war chief blend. First digest the heat from my toaster. Blast, cotton can last on your block about the class.
Yeah, digging on the Sheba, tapping on the Chiba, singing they want sunset, cotton you want nuts and the ass whipping, and feel it when it kick in. Never juggle satin, coolie coda can't blow. Coolie how is how I pump when the convincers in my clutch. Your murder one sung it then hush.
The
Hollywood.
awakening. How much notes are we raking in? The more we vision, you ain't fit for this division. So put the splits on it. Tell your boxy put her lips on it. It's murder one when the stones
I'm
on
trying to
it.
tell you now, the copper here from the 3 o'clock and a something terrible that happen when you fall shatting. No counterfeit, never dug the sound a bit low. Cold toss the out, razor candy cut what? Low sugar streets where the hustle crossing catch me. My kin looking like Flint about to boogie.
Inside Sheba sugar walls trying to landscape pleasure. I faced the north in the north face bubble feather. Stone tribe jungle life diamond crook campus destined for Sugar City and we copping Willie
I got
Snippers.
you wide. I keep you wide. I got you wide. I keep you wide. Once the heat is on, you know that mean the war chief's in. Melting ice grills from the Ace Boone and Mac 10. Eldorado R and a sparkling Chevrolet. All the dough sacks until I see no
It ain't no such thing as 3 o'clock. I cruise the block in my snorkel. A tie link swing, 6 figures. I'm trying to see it, so I'm coasting. Sipping on some clear patch of potion, got me tipsy. Waiting for some sugar rain to hit me. This is living. Screeching through the cracks of Hell's Kitchen, talking dynamite slang in my wheels while I'm brick
Check the
pitching.
crumb crusher, Terrell sugar love out of sight. Double modern block bus, EG gray airtight in the war chief. Pulling the old brown sugar con through the doorway. And sugar hit the stairway and down.
I can dig it. Can you dig it? Diamonds glow. Geechee stay fresh in the flesh, dice fro. We thundercats, it's all about stash in the coffee. Butter dripping off me. I talk it like I walk it on uptown grounds. Jungle champ compounds where the lows always found and war chief run the
The
town.
last cards was dealt, so was the last hander. Scat cats from the sugar flats, low bander. Running revs, pulling coats to the counterfeited. Shy catch you on the rebound, sweet and low digging.
However, breaking news, breaking news, breaking fucking news.
Are you ready for that?
Let's get it. This that go and get it. With no hesitation. This that never quit. Start that elevation. This that process. This that in the making. This that started from the bottom. This that motivation.
Much respect to the family. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you all don't mind, just give me 1 quick second. I want to make sure everything is in order. All right. Yes. All right. Everything is good to go. I just want to make sure everything was set. All right. So I'm doing this live actually. I'm actually going to be doing this live earlier because I have quite a few things I got lined up towards my evening. So I want to make sure that I am good to go for what it is I got to be prepared for. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Please forgive me for the abrupt live on this one, but you know, if I give my word, I got to make sure I follow through on that. Because we all know Smitty won't be able to sleep at night if he doesn't. I know. Respect to the family. The time right now is 11:59 p.m. East Coast Standard Time, and I thank everybody so much for tuning in. All right now, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to get to this live right here. We're going to get to this live now. What we're going to be looking at is the amazements, right? Because, you know, again, I ain't going to lie. I got a little thing going for this now at this point, and I really appreciate the, I guess you can say, the interaction aspects of when we're able to really see how there is a correlation between what we know nature to be and how we operate. Now, of course, on this one right here, I would like to give a nice, good, big shout out to whom? I want to give a shout out to the dads of nature as well. Like, you know what? It's very, very amazing. And it's very, very, let me say, interesting to find out how much all of these things come into play, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. So let me go ahead and see what I got right here, right? Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me just go. So where do I want to start? All right. So I'm going to start here. Okay. When we think about the dangers of nature, now that's one thing that I think that we really need to make sure that we get under control, right? Okay, safety first. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, safety first. So with that being said, on this first segment right here, what we are going to be looking at is something that I myself wasn't even aware was something that was somewhat of a problem. Now, I'm just going to let you know right now, I don't care if it's one body, 2, 3, or 4. That's one too many. All right. So let's go ahead and let's listen to this. All right. You know how we hear about being, I guess you can say, scared of sharks and alligators. Let's say the lions and tigers and bears of the world, right? I ain't going front. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you one of our newest but oldest nemesis, apparently. So we're going to see how this video rocks out. And with that being said, digress. My mic is muted. Let's look at what we have on this first clip, because this is interesting.
Advice to arm themselves with umbrellas at night to protect themselves from a recent spate of owl attacks.
He is the 4th victim of an owl that has been dive bombing people. And he tells Fox 12's Kimberly Eaton it wasn't just a bird attack.
He calls it a robbery.
Swear to God, this owl just attacked me. I swear to God. Oh my God.
And some pecking.
That's right. An owl flew right into his open driver's side window and made himself right at home.
Hey, I can't. Now, how they got the owl with the butcher knife, though? Ah, man, the theatrics. But let's have some fun with this and let's see exactly what we got going on. Now, again, what we're looking at is an actual threat. People have lost their lives to an owl. I know, right? It's so hard to believe. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that there was a rap artist or something, very flamboyant or something, and he passed away recently from a dog bite. And a lot of people couldn't believe, like, how could you, like, a dog bite, right? Whole grown man, dog bite. Don't make sense. Something else has to be there. But apparently, owls are capable of taking out whole grown adult humans. Let's look at how this takes place before we get into the rest of what we got going on. And with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. The time right now is 12:03 p.m. East Coast Standard Time, and I thank you all for tuning in.
So the other weekend I was out in the Everglades and was lucky enough to see not one, but 2 different species of owl, and it got me wondering, how often do these birds actually attack people, and have they ever actually killed a person? The answer to both of these questions is quite surprising, so stay tuned. So for your first shocker, believe it or not, owls are known for injuring as many as 50 people a year in the United States.
I would have had no clue. All right. So we're starting off with our safety tips of everything nature. All right. And how nature has a lot to do with us. Now, if people are actually getting harmed by nature, I think that we should know more about what harms us. If nature is helping us, then I think that we should know more about what is of assistance. And with that being said, let's keep on rocking out. Respect to the family.
Which, to put that into perspective, you're just as, if not more likely, to be attacked by an owl in the US than you are a shark. But still, that obviously doesn't make these feathery, adorable animals monsters by any means. So why do owls even attack people in the first place? And even more importantly, why are owl attacks increasing, not just in the United States, but worldwide? Well, you see, it has to do with a couple of different factors, but first you have to keep in mind the fact that most owl species are completely harmless. But you see, most does not mean all species. Some species of owl, such as the great horned owl, could produce.
And for the record, yes, not all species are harmful simply because, a lot of owl species are considered to be, not big enough to be that much of a threat. It would be like if a pigeon got to flapping around you, right? Like how much harm do we really see one pigeon doing? It's kind of like in that sense. But when you have an owl that is damn near about the size of an eagle, that's a different ball game. Let's keep on rocking out.
As much as 700 psi in just their grip, which is actually stronger than a bear's grip, which is pretty insane. They also have shockingly long.
Wait, hold on, wait. Hold on, what? Stronger than a what?
Could produce as much as 700 psi in just their grip, which is actually stronger than a bear's grip, which is pretty insane. They also have shockingly long legs and incredibly sharp claws, meaning that you're probably better off fighting something like a raccoon over an owl. Man, I don't know how people are.
Can you imagine that though? Most of us, honestly, if you think about it, because now, mind you, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm more nervous about the raccoon because it's not about if it'll off me then and there. It's whatever scratches and bites that I believe would lead to infection. You see what I'm saying? The whole rabies and everything else, right? So that's, man, okay. So now we have to take this into full perspective. I don't know if people, for those, I think most of us have seen a full-grown raccoon up close. They're not small at all. Again, we keep thinking everything is the size of a squirrel. No, some things get bigger than your dogs. Now let's rock out.
Scared of these guys. Are so adorable. Now, getting back on topic, we need to talk about why these owls are attacking people in the first place. Primarily so you guys and people as a whole could avoid getting dive bombed, clawed, and straight up attacked by these owls. While most owl species are small and non-territorial, some larger species, such as the great horned owl, great gray owl, Eurasian eagle owl, and especially the barred owl, can all be very territorial, especially when it comes to guarding their nest and mates. So especially during their respective breeding seasons, these guys could be quite aggressive, not just towards people, but even other animals and sometimes even other species of owl. What a lot of people don't realize is a lot of times when these owls call, making their unique hoots, they're actually producing these calls, at least in part, to establish their territories and territorial dominance over each other and other owl species. This is actually the main reason why it's mostly just larger species of owl that produce hoots, while smaller species of owl primarily produce screeches and trills.
And that makes a lot of sense. So when you hear the hoot, that is the larger version. Okay, all right. See how we learning something? And so far, I will tell you what it is that I have learned. What I have learned is that the owls will always bring this every time the night falls.
Black Air Force Energy.
Point blank, period. And with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. Let's keep on rocking out.
But you see, a lot of these larger species of owl do a lot more than just hooting in order to establish their territory. A lot of times they will go out of their way to protect their territory from other animals they see as a threat, including humans, and this is usually where their bad habit of dive bombing people comes in. You see, owls do see people as a threat a lot of the time, as we are much larger than them and are way more capable of causing damage, so when we set foot onto their territory, they can often see us as a threat and decide we need to be dispatched, or at least removed from the premises, by dive bombing. During a dive bomb, these owls won't exactly try to kill a person, but rather just scare them off away from their territory, particularly whichever tree has their nest or is usually the spot in which they do their calls. You can almost just think of it as them defending their property and nothing more. Because of this, so far not a single fatal attack from an owl has been contributed to an owl defending its territory. But fatal owl attacks have still occurred, and we're gonna get to that later in the video. But first, remember, if you're enjoying it so far,
And we are going to take a very brief commercial break, and this commercial break is brought to you by Fishing with White Folks.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Skills around the corner. Walking on the fighting side of me.
No, that don't look like it.
It
goes down.
It don't. It don't go down.
Robert, it goes down.
No, it don't.
It do go down.
Oh!
much of their evolutionary power into their eyeballs, to the point of where their eyeballs are practically eye cones and they can't even rotate them. Somehow their vision still doesn't seem to be good enough to distinguish a fluffy hat from their usual prey. At least that's what I thought at first, until I realized just how opportunistic some of these larger owl species are, in which it seems like they'll pretty much take out anything smaller than a house cat. Whether it's fluffy, feathery, or scaly, it doesn't really seem to matter. And I guess when
I can't front. I didn't know owls can take out a fox. Wow. Wow. That's it. Oh man. And if you don't mind me, 1 second, I almost forgot. Nancy, if you would please. I didn't know owls can take out a whole fox. This is amazing.
When you see a human from a purely top view, it could be very easily to mistake an unusual hat or someone's dorky haircut for a potential prey item. And when these specific kinds of attacks do occur, they tend to cause a lot more damage, mainly because the owl, instead of trying to defend itself, is actually trying to kill what it's getting a hold of. And remember what I said before about some owl species having a grip up to 700 psi in power?
700 psi. I need you to think about that. All right. And you just, and mind you, it's not a hand, it's talons, the same talons that the actual raptors had. And can you imagine that dive bombing down on you and then, sheesh, boy.
Yeah, imagine this going straight through your skull. In some cases, owls will also defend themselves if they feel threatened, and will actively attack in self-defense. Normally, when an owl feels threatened, they will simply puff up and often screech, but when that isn't enough, well, let's just say the results could be catastrophic. Still, only 3 deaths have been directly caused by owls in the United States, and even then, some of these fatalities are still somewhat contested. And while there have been plenty of other reports,
3 fatalities. Now listen, I want people to really think about this. I never thought that there was 1. I'm being real with you. That's like, imagine hearing one day reports of 5 fatal offings because of a crow. There we go. A crow. Like fatally, like not a killer of crow or a murder of crow, because they're not called flocks for some reason, right? That's different. But like 1 crow often people, that's crazy. That would be absurd to think.
It's both in and outside of the US of owls potentially killing people. So far, only 3 of them are considered to have any sort of true credibility. The first of which took place in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania back in 1911, where an older farmer was attacked and fatally killed by an owl, likely a barn owl defending its nest. Barn owls in particular, while not as large as other owl species, can still be quite territorial and also like to spend a lot of their time around farms and even build their nest in barns, specifically so they could feed on the plentiful rodent population found.
Wow. Hey, hold on. Now that right there is my bad, y'all. That was absolutely loud because I got like 4 different devices. That was absolutely amazing on how that was broken down. Now, to think all of those sources, we have to remember, like, there's a lot that they have to deal with at nighttime. They're primarily nocturnal. And I mean, where do you think we get night vision goggles? Now, let's go to that. The incorporation of humans, huh? Those night vision lenses are very large. The owl's eyes are very large. Look, we got some fun stuff to talk about. I'm telling you, this is going to get interesting. We're just getting started. I promise you, we're just getting started. Let's get it.
Around the farmlands. Another very similar incident would happen in 1985, where another farmer up in California, approaching retirement, would end up also being attacked and fatally killed by a barn owl. Interestingly though, barn owls don't seem to be responsible for the most owl attacks in terms of sheer numbers, as beyond defending their nest, they don't seem to be as territorial as other larger owl species. That title seems to go to their close relative, the barred owl. Barred owls could be distinguished by their larger size and the presence of a bar-like pattern on their chest. And by far the most famous.
Respect to the family, respect to the family. Salute, beloved. What's going on with you, love? All right. Yeah, nah, you know how we are. We're going to stay organic with this on this one, you know? So, we have different segments. We have different fields that we go through on this whole platform. So this is just the nature segment for right now. And we're going to have some really, really good fun today. So you just stick around. Let's rock out.
Famous owl attack of all goes to the infamous staircase situation. This case would involve the husband of Kathleen Peterson being convicted of murder for allegedly pushing his wife down the stairs. But what was very interesting, which his lawyers found, was the presence of owl feathers found right where she fell. What was even more interesting was that the puncture marks on her head didn't match that of a person suffering from a traumatic injury during a fight, but instead the marks on her head much more closely matched that of the claws of a barred owl. This means that her unfortunate death was likely the first and only documented case of a barred owl actually fatally killing a human being.
What if you can create your own website?
All right, hold on one second, y'all. We're going to take a very, very brief commercial break while we get through that right there. And this commercial break is brought to you by We Are the Lambs. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get back to it. And with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. The time right now is 12:17 p.m. East Coast Standard Time, and I thank everybody so much for tuning in.
But the only documented case of an owl fatally killing a person in self-defense.
Wow, an owl got to somebody through self-defense. Now, we're going to move forward a little bit, right? We're going to move forward. We're going to keep this ball rolling. We're going to see what we got right here, right? This right here coming up next is going to be now how we look at how nature is incorporated into everything that we see and what we do. So now let's go ahead and let's take some time to really look at what we got here. Now, on this live, hold on, new comment. Make sure I can stand up. It's your kind of live. Okay, now respect to you. Then stick around. Let's see what we got. with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. Let's go ahead and look at this next short. So let me see what we got right here. Nope. We're going to go to this one. All right. So look, now this is interesting. Now we're going to get into something. Now let's look at how nature cooperates with itself, right? Now let's look at this right here. And I just be wondering, how is it that people can't seem to get this right? You know what I'm saying? So that's the only thing that I'm trying to figure out. Why can't people get right what we're about to look at right here?
Has an unusual system of reproduction. Meet the Capella arnoldi. During the breeding season, the male selects a spot with an overhanging leaf. Once he has attracted a female, they both leap from the water and cling to the leaf with their pelvic fins for up to 10 seconds. The female lays 6 to 10 eggs, which the male quickly fertilizes before they both return to the water. They repeat this process until the leaf holds 100 to 200 eggs. Meanwhile, the male stays nearby, splashing water on the eggs, which is up to 38 times an hour to keep them moist. After 36 to 72 hours, the eggs hatch and the tiny young fish drop into the water below. This fish has an unusual system of
Now, let's pay attention to what we just listened to. Now, with this particular fish, what I'm noticing is this. All right, now we need to pay attention. They go ahead, they climb up out of the water, so they go out of their natural environment. So basically they are willing, the mother and father are willing to go to an uncomfortable place, which is on land, essentially, right? And not only are they willing to make that also scarce sacrifice, because any kind of bird, listen, it's all kind of threats. There are all kind of risk when it comes to that. But what do? They risk everything for who? Them kids. That's right. See, that's where I'm at. And then after that happens, mom goes off and she does her thing. Dad stays back and he keeps on splashing and splashing and splashing to make sure that all of those babies are able to drop down into the water, and however many are able to make it and reproduce and become to the adult stage. That is absolutely amazing. And with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted on this particular video. Now we're going to get to the next segment. Now we're going to go ahead and get into the birds. Now let's see how the natural process actually works. Let's go ahead. Right now, I have two of these right here, right? I have two of these. Now, let's listen to this. Now, this right here is absolutely phenomenal. Let's go ahead and listen to what we have, right?
They build clay nests in hollows in the cliff face. Architectural masterpieces. The opening is perfectly engineered, so that squeezing in expels a little unwanted dust. Now it's time for a little spring cleaning. In between shifts, there's a chance to hunt. The firebug's bright pattern signals that it's inedible. So it strolls across the rock without a care in the world. Big mistake. The nuthatch gets the bug, but he doesn't eat it. He builds with it. Mashed up, it'll harden to fill holes and cracks in the nest. Protein and chitin combine to a perfect cement. Female and male work as a team. Every now and then, time for a quick snack.
Ooh, I'm talking on mute, so I want us to again pay attention. Look at how that is all working out. That is amazing, right? So again, I only show these things to let us know, hey, how was it that animals, right, that we would call lesser than us, able to work in such a beautiful fashion and function, right? But for some reason, we don't know how to get it right most of the time, right? Look at how simple and simplistic all of this is, but it just works in such a beautiful organic tandem, right? All right, now. So let's go ahead and let's get to the next one. Because we got some really fun videos to look at today. Yeah, buddy. Now, this is where we get to looking at how nature, right? This video right here is going to be incorporated on how nature actually works in tandem, like really, like you scratch my back, I'll fluff your feathers. That's right. Scratch my back, I'll fluff your feathers. Now let's look at this right here. This one right here really caught my attention personally. Well, let's go ahead and listen and look at how this all works out. I want you to pay very close attention to this deer biting the branch. The deer don't have a clue of what it's really doing. It's just doing what it does when it's this time of year with the tree to receive nutrients. Now let's look at how everybody eats.
Even the smallest of wound can release a dribble of sap. Here, when temperatures drop, the emerging liquid can freeze and form icicles. And if the tree is a maple tree, then the icicles will be full of sugar. And that helps the birds. A real delicacy. The sapsicle. It's rich in energy and delicious. But they don't last long. In only a few short hours, the banquet is over.
But let's just look at how, like, so the deer bite the branch, and at the base of that branch is where what we all listen, maple, right? Maple syrup. Before it even hit the stores, the birds had it first. This is absolutely phenomenal to me. You know, just that whole organized. And even down to how the birds even know, like, yeah, go ahead, bite the branch. Ooh, we got one. We got one, right? All of these things are so important for us to recognize how if nature is capable of working in tandem, why is it that we're not? Oh, yeah, that's right, because man was supposed to come from monkeys, and we all know that they backstabbers. Nah, real talk. You need to look at chimp life. It's vicious. But with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. The time right now is 12:26 East Coast Standard Time, and I thank everybody for tuning in. So now what we're going to do is we are going to get into our next video. That's right, everybody. We're going to get into our next video. In this next video, let's look at how things actually come into play, right? So we're going to have some fun with things, right? Matter of fact, let's go here. Now, when we talking about how nature works in tandem with itself, right? How nature works in tandem, we need to remember there is a lot of cooperation. All right, so the cooperation comes from this right here. I'm just, you know, I'm trying to respect to the family. Absolutely. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. So now let's go ahead and look at this right here. Let's see what we got. All right, now. So,
sight, all that can be seen is this, a bud. After about 5 years, the bud finally opens into a monstrous flower. It appears to have fur, even whiskers and teeth. Their surface is tough and warty. This is Rafflesia, the corpse flower, and this one is a male. From its center comes the pungent odor of death. It's a scent that might not appeal to every animal. But it's very attractive to carrion flies.
Now, I want us to listen. Now, Pete, don't just get infatuated with the voice or what's being said. I mean, well, do stick to what's being said, but really pay attention to key factors. So now this is a plant. We all know that plants, really don't have the capability of moving, going anywhere for itself or anything, right? Okay, cool beans. So since we know this, watch how plants are able to reproduce through the cooperation of nature. Now let's go ahead and get to it. This right here really blew my mind on how plants get their eggs fertilized. Let's do it.
The scent lures the fly deep into the flower in search of meat. It stuck pollen to the fly's back. If this male Rafflesia's strategy is to work, the fly carrying its pollen must now visit a female corpse flower. Success. It is a parasite. All that can be seen is this, a bud. After about 5 years, the bud finally opens into a monstrous flower. It appears to have fur, even whiskers and teeth. Their surface is tough and warty.
Hold on. Hold on. Okay, I got you. Listen, that's all right. I appreciate you. Just do one of those for the folks before you walk out. All right, you see it right there typed. I didn't say it, she did. Okay, let's get it. But I ain't even mad at you. But listen, this is all a part of nature. We have to know that all of these things are a part of nature, and nature is a part of us, and we have to know how to be able to recognize how we correlate with it. It's very, very important. Okay, let's go ahead and get back to it. With that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. The time right now is 12:31 p.m. East Coast Standard Time, and I thank you all so much for tuning in. Let's rock out.
This is Rafflesia, the corpse flower, and this one is a male. From its center comes the pungent odor of death. It's a scent that might not appeal to every animal, but it's very attractive to carrion flies. The scent lures the fly deep into the flower in search of meat.
So the flower gives off a false scent, right? Okay, I got you. The flower gives off a false scent, and through that, right? So now we know exactly how the flower is able to pollinate. Give off the false alarm of dead carcass. These flies, as we all know, flies attract to what? Shh, you're swimming up. So then they go to the flower, and then the flower drips the pollination from one, and then that fly goes off to the other, and then boom, we get more of these gut-wrenching, dead carcass smelling flowers. But the fact is, the cooperation is absolutely, it's unmatched. Let's keep on listening.
It stuck pollen to the fly's back. If this male Rafflesia's strategy is to work, the fly carrying its pollen must now visit a female corpse flower. Success.
Look at that. Really, now that is phenomenal. Now let's go ahead. Let's get to the next part of what we have right now. All right, y'all. Let's see what we got. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up this next video. Yeah, buddy. So does anybody remember the movie The Gremlins? Does anybody remember that? I'm just curious, Hold on. I got to sneeze. My bad, y'all. Thank you. All right, so cool. Okay, so listen. Shoot, I had another sneeze. Hold on. They keep trying to sneak up on me. They keep trying to sneak up. All right, listen. No, I got it. So, does anybody, if you're old enough, right? Do you remember how we had this movie? It was called The Gremlins, right? So, The Gremlins, Cool Beans. Man, we got The Gremlins, and the Gremlins look like something that was just spawned out of somebody's imagination. Were the Gremlins spawned out of somebody's imagination, or were the Gremlins known to be something of real life? I don't know. Let's see. And with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. What in the world is that? I'm just saying. I'm trying to figure out. Mama. Hey, mama. What is that? But anyway, let's go ahead and take a quick moment. Let's put our thinking caps on it. Let's figure out what this is right here. And if you already know, type it into the chat from IG to Instagram to Rumble. Or if not, let's go ahead and let's see what we got. Let's take 30 quick seconds.
What do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
The Pinky and the Brain. Yes, Pinky and the Brain. One is a genius, the other's insane.
This little guy was the inspiration behind the hit movie The Gremlins, which is kind of obvious now that I look at it, but it's called a tarsier, and it's a little primate that's only 5.
Look at that shit right there. Now, can you imagine if that came from under your bed at 10 o'clock at night and you're 8 years old? Whole T is just something that needs to find a tree. But because really that's what they do. They just, anyway, you'll see. But yes, they like to be in trees and they like to go ahead and they're nocturnal. Their eyes are so big to see at night. Although, goodness gracious, look at like where the pupil, that is teeny. But let's look at this a little bit deeper. I'm telling you, this gets very interesting. This is where the movie Gremlins came from. This animal is a real animal. Imagine being 8 years old and that came from under your bed. Ah!
Found on the islands of Southeast Asia, and you can't miss them. Look at those eyes. It's like 50% eyeball, but it's 100% carnivorous, and they're really good hunters. That's because they have special bones in their ankles called tarsals, which is where they get their name. And those bones allow them to jump almost 20 feet at a time. So they just go tree to tree, jumping back and forth, doing this with every creature they can find. And that could be insects, rodents, birds, flying frogs. I want to see one so bad. And I want to feed it past midnight.
All right. Now that definitely interesting. Let's keep on moving forward. This is our we just gonna kick it and cool it on our nature segment. Now we're going to get into something that's very interesting. Now we're going back into the water, right? No, matter of fact, let's stay on land and then we will go back into the water. Now let's look at natural defense mechanisms and how natural defense mechanisms correlate with how we even think to defend our own. All right. Sheesh, buddy. So we all think that, we will say a term called bird brain, and bird brain would refer to someone who isn't capable of thinking too well on their own. Cool beans. You know what I learned bugs eat? I mean, you know what I learned birds eat? I gave it away. Bugs, right? So let's look at this.
This is a tree hopper, one of hundreds of different types in this forest.
Now, I want you to, this is what's so beautiful and amazing about nature, honestly. Look at how many different versions of this one particular, like if we say lion, you just think of a lion as a lion, right? Look at how many different versions of this is. Man, all day. Hey, there she go. Oh no, we just, yeah. You made it midway through. You made it midway through. All right, now. Okay, there she go. There she go. Let's get it. But let's look at how this works out. So the correlation between how we protect our own and how nature does. Now, remember, the term is bird brain. What do birds eat? Bugs. Is that feeding their intelligence? Let's find out from these microscopic aliens.
This is a tree hopper, one of hundreds of different types in this forest. Vibrating their bodies, they send signals.
Listen to these sounds and you tell me, does that not sound alien? That don't sound alien. Listen. This is the sounds you're hearing is the actual sounds that's coming from these beetles, these little bugs.
Vibrating their bodies, they send signals through the forest plants they live on. Most of these messages we can only hear by using special microphones. Each tree hopper species has its own repertoire.
That is crazy right now. I don't think anybody gets it. That's out of this world wild.
This tree hopper mother communicates with her young, encouraging them to stay together so that she can protect them. For there are plenty here waiting to eat young tree hoppers. Ants on the hunt. Tree hoppers know how to defend themselves. But not all threats are so easily dealt with. An assassin bug.
Now watch how nature, I'm telling you, watch how nature cooperates. Look at how one pays the other. No, ain't no wow yet. You wait for the wow. Look at this right here. Look at the cooperation that we never knew existed.
Armed with piercing mouth parts and sticky front legs. She needs help from friends in high places.
Look at this shit. If this isn't a movie scene, if this isn't a Disney movie scene.
Bees. They're very aggressive. Her brood are safe. The bees don't protect the tree hoppers for free. A little tickle on a tree hopper's back, and they exude a sugary liquid, honeydew. A sweet reward for protecting them.
Look at that shit. Paying off the bodyguards. Paying off the... Yo, this is wild. How does that even paying off the bodyguard?
It's just one of the countless ways in which forest species work together.
And why can't humans do that, right? Okay, now hold on. Wow, there we go. I said it. I keep saying it, beloved. I keep saying it. Nah, we ain't done. We not done. We gonna get into how this thing really moves, right? So, but this is what I'm gonna do. I don't know if you saw this one, right? I'm gonna go back to this one video right here because this is fascinating as well. Again, how nature works together. I'm gonna let the whole thing go.
The smallest of wound can release a dribble of sap. Here, when temperatures drop, the emerging liquid can freeze and form icicles.
So when the deer naturally in the wintertime bite the stems off, that green is where the sap is. The moisture then creates this trickle, and look at what happens for the birds.
And if the tree is a maple tree, then the icicles will be full of sugar. And that helps the birds. A real delicacy. the sapsicle. It's rich in energy and delicious. But they don't last long. In only a few short hours, the banquet is over.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's either called stalactite or stalagmite. No, stalactite. Stalactite grows from up down. Stalagmites grow from down up. There we go. Somebody remember science. All right. So, like, the cooperation of nature is out of this world. And again, just like how you said, wow, yes. If only humans can be so organized. Now let's go ahead and get into this right here. Okay, so I have a video personally, right? So I'm going to pull up my own personal video. Now, again, how we talk about how we get a lot of things from nature. You know what else we get from nature? Movies. That's right, everybody. Movies. There are a lot of things from movies we get from nature, like, I don't know, Jaws, Anaconda, you know what I'm saying? The Meg and all of these things like that, right? Okay, cool beans. So now we have to think about something that is really, really prevalent, okay? So let's go ahead and do this right here. I'm going to pull this up, okay? Ah, yes. Now, does anybody remember the movie Tremors? Does anybody remember the movie Tremors? I hope you do. Okay, now I'm going to show you real time in real life where the inspiration for the real life tremor exists. Now, I want you to picture everything in life started where? We all know, in the sea. So now let's go ahead and let's take it to a deeper perspective. Where did tremors start? It started right here. That is called the bobbit worm. Look at how it's positioned. Let's look at how it eats, and I want you to think of the movie Tremors. Hey, bro, look at that shit. Look at that shit. I want you to remember this. Look at this. All right. That's how a bobbit worm eats. Everything that we think that we know and everything that we learn. Oh, yeah. What? Couldn't walk on land. You know what? Let me see if I can actually. I'm going to take this one quick second. Just let me see if I can actually, because if I'm not mistaken, I believe that I personally did a video, right? So I'm gonna see what's going on here. Nah, you ain't lying about that. But we're gonna keep the show rolling, right, real quick. But look. The bobbit worm is something that is extremely terrifying, okay? All right, so look, again, so when we look at this right here, and when we think about tremors, right? When we look at this right here and we think about tremors, all right, so hold on. Let me do this. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, there we go. Hold on, y'all. Let me go right here and let me go to my videos. because I actually did something that is specifically just about that. Let me see. Where is it at? It should be. Is it? Hold on. I hope I still have the damn video. God damn it, Jim. I don't think I have it. But look. Here we go. Yeah, this is perfect right here. This is perfect. This is perfect. So look. So I want us to hold on. Here we go right here. So boom. Watch this. Hold on. All right. Boom. Boom. I want us to look at this. Bow. Look at this shit. Hold on. Look at this shit right here. And I want you to tell me, is there not a correlation? Watch.
Man, you're going.
Bert,
Now I want you to imagine if this was underwater.
get out of your basement. Take your radio. You and Heather, get up on your roof. We'll talk later, okay? Over.
Up on the roof. Val, what are you talking about?
Damn it, Bert, just
Talking about, over.
Bert, they're under the ground. They're under the ground. They can dig like a son of a bitch. Big monster.
Now, where do we see those things in the sea? Anyway.
Underground, now get out. Hurry.
Fair use, fair use, fair use. Now, y'all see that, right? Okay. You see this goddamn thing? Okay. Let's look at this shit. Now that we look at that, okay, boom, remove that. Okay, now let's go ahead and pull this up right here. All right, so boom, let's go right here. Let's go to history. All right, so now let's go ahead and pull this up. And you tell me you don't see a correlation and what it is that I'm talking about right now. Then we're going to get to this final segment that I believe is the most funnest and most lit segment of it all. But no, real talk though. Is vicious how things that we like, aliens, everything, a lot of this come from certain insects, a lot of this come from certain crustaceans in the ocean, the whole nine. It's not something outside of this world. It's something inside of our planet that we refuse to go ahead and take a note of. Let's look at this small piece before we get up out of this part. Let's do it.
Laced spines powerful enough to bring down a human being make it one of the most weaponized fish out there. These are some of the deadly traits of the beast in today's video. Meet the bobbit worm, the ocean's thing of nightmares. Although worms already have a bad reputation in the minds of many people, this creature magnifies and combines all of those reasons for disliking worms into one single creature. The bobbit worm, Unis aphroditois, is one of the most terrifying benthic predators, stalking its prey while burrowed deep beneath the seabed. Their frames can grow to be 10 feet long, as they spend the majority of their time coiled beneath ocean sediment, though biologists have...
Where do the tremors stay? Movie. Message.
Known about it since 1790, the creature's sinister nickname was given to it in a 1996 field guide, in a reference to the John and Lorena Bobbitt case, as the creature's scissor-like jaw.
Hey, hold on. I didn't know. Wait a minute. Wait a
God have mercy upon us.
Are you serious? Wait a minute.
Since 1790, the creature's sinister nickname was given to it in a 1996 field guide, in a reference to the John and Lorena Bobbitt case.
They call it the bobbit worm because of Lorena Bobbitt. Oh my gosh. Ah, shit. I'm done.
What do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
The Pinky and the Brain. Yes, Pinky and the Brain. One is a genius, the other's insane.
As the creature's scissor-like jaws are capable of cleanly cutting off its prey.
Scissor-like jaws.
Yes. God have mercy upon us.
Can you imagine being a woman and your claim to fame is a worm that pulls everything down into the dirt to the darkness? My gosh.
With a snap of their fingers. From the inconspicuous confines of live rock and coral.
Now, this is something I'm going to tell you. This is wild. I didn't know that part. I told y'all I learn along with us too. I'll be learning too. I know a little something, but I didn't know bobbit. It makes sense now. Bobbit worm. I thought because it like bobbed his head. Lorena Bobbitt. You gotta be out of your mind with this, right? Oh man, what just happened? That was a total left turn.
I don't want nobody fucking with me in these streets. Same children.
I guess so. I guess so. That is wild, bruh. All right, so now that we got that out of our system, let's go ahead and get back to it. But not real talk though. I ain't got nothing to say, man. I'm gonna push play. I need to breathe off that one.
The worm uses its hyper-heightened antenna to seek out everything from lionfish and grouper to octopus several times its size.
Several times its size. Now, listen, lionfish is considered to be extremely dangerous as far as the poisonous, right? Not an issue. And you know how they eat it? From the inside out. That's right. What they do is they start to burrow a hole inside of it from down in the darkness. So can you imagine being pulled into the dirt? And I thought like falling off a building or being set on fire, because those are my two fears. You know what I'm saying? Like fire and like falling off something, right? I can only imagine being pulled into something that is totally suffocating and now I'm being eaten from the inside out slowly. It's a process that takes a couple days.
Striking with overwhelming force. They remain hidden underground while carrying on with their search for any kind of prey. As soon as their antennas detect prey nearby, within the blink of an eye, the bobbit worm grasps the creature, cuts it in half, and consumes its meal, and then buries the remaining pieces under the ground. Talk about cleaning up a crime scene.
Like, you swimming out. Let's listen to a little bit more.
Their entire morphology differs significantly from that of other worms. Their entire body is covered in a hard exoskeleton from top to bottom. When it comes to self-defense and protection from larger predators, their exoskeleton is crucial. They come in a variety of color gradients, but the most common are purple or black. Depending on their diet, a few of the worms may also develop a shiny or metallic outer layer. A strict carnivore diet darkens the exoskeleton, whereas a plant-based diet...
I mean, that's Tremors. I'm sorry, y'all. That's Tremors. Now, let's look one more again for the win. All right. At the Gremlin. We got to look at the Gremlin one more time because I love the movie Gremlins, but I can only imagine if this came from under my bed when I was like 8 years old. Yeah, Gremlins was based on something real. Let's get it.
I was the inspiration behind the hit movie The Gremlins, which is kind of obvious now that I look at it, but it's called a tarsier, and it's a little primate that's only found on the islands of Southeast.
Look at that little ugly muff. I mean, I'm like, what? Myself. That nigga hideous. Listen, I know everything is God's creation, but some things it's like, where did you come from? And you know what? Now I see why some things were supposed to be extinct a long time ago. Why are you still around, sir?
Asia, and you can't miss them. Look at those eyes. It's like 50% eyeball, but it's 100% carnivorous, and they're really good hunters. That's because they have special bones in their ankles called tarsals, which is where they get their name. And those bones allow them to jump almost 20 feet at a time. So they just go tree to tree, jumping back and forth, doing this with every creature they can find.
In the pit black darkness of night, everything you're seeing is because of specialized lighting through cameras.
And that could be insects, rodents, birds, flying frogs. I want to see one so bad.
Now, let's go ahead and get to, because we're coming up on the cusp of that right now. I already know, I ain't going to get too much or whatever, but at least I can get this right here. I can give myself a good animals happy Father's Day, right? And I'm saying that because we all know that we already look at human men like, y'all niggas ain't shh. So forget Father's Day. All right, well, at least let's give the animals their props, okay? Somebody has to get their props for being a dad, right? And with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. Listen, I'm going to try this video. I hope they don't start messing with me because, it's just one of them type, bigger channels. But I really rocks with Cuz, man. He definitely is somebody. I love his take on things. And we're going to listen to this right here. So let's look at how fathers actually operate in nature. That's right, people. Let's look at how dads operate in nature. The time right now is 1 p.m. East Coast Standard Time, and I thank you all for tuning in.
Are fathers really that necessary? It's crazy we can even ask a question like that. You want to know how important father figures actually are? Studies done in South Africa found that without the presence of older, mature bull elephants, the younger bachelor males were more likely to exhibit aggressive, destructive, and straight-up menace behavior.
Wait a minute. So you telling me even in the animal kingdom, the animal hoods of the life, when dad is not around, the kids act up more? Wait a minute. You telling me when dad is not around, the kids still act up more as animals? One more again for the win.
Are fathers really that necessary? It's crazy we can even ask a question like that. You want to know how important father figures actually are? Studies done in South Africa found that without the presence of older, mature bull elephants, the younger bachelor males were more likely to exhibit aggressive, destructive, and straight-up menace behavior, escalating all the way to them projecting their daddy issues on the south side of a rhino.
See, this is what happened when dad's not around, okay? You start trying to bone a rhino, okay?
God have mercy upon us.
That's what happens when dad goes. We need to stay focused on this because at this point, I don't care if I grew up with you or not, sir. Okay, I'm going to be like,
whose mess is this? You put him on the TV. Go home! Bro, don't.
Like real talk though.
I know. And it wasn't until more seasoned bulls were brought back in that the rhinocentric assaults decreased. And even though with humans the stakes don't usually involve a rhino's rectum, subtracting fathers from a population can be just as problematic. I'm not going to list all the
Look at this. I can't find one of my own. You the closest thing. Them hippos stay in the water too much. Get over here. I like you and I want you. I like you and I want you. Look at what happened. Elephants turn into grapists when dad isn't in the house. I don't understand how we don't recognize the importance of fathers. Keep on rocking out, young brother.
ways, because then we'll be here forever. Just know that a majority of the prison population wouldn't even be there in the first place if their fathers had come home from getting milk. Unless you're an athlete, in which case it's just a buff to your greatness. There are many fathers in nature that are just as important, and seahorses aren't really one of them. We call seahorses amazing fathers, and really all they do is spunk out new recruits to the senses from their midsection. It's really no different than what every 14-year-old does the moment they discover incognito. Except with them, their swimmers aren't undercooked. And I'm sorry if that ruins seahorses for you. No, like, actually, I'm sorry.
Hold on, y'all. We just taking a quick commercial break. No, oh no. We gonna watch this one. Y'all just go ahead, stay right there. We be right back after this quick commercial.
Seeing shit like that. Question: How many faking they streams, getting they plays from machines? I can see behind the smoke and mirrors, niggas ain't really big as they seem. I never say anything, everybody got their thing. Some niggas make millions, other niggas make memes. I'm on a money routine, I don't want smoke, I want cream. I don't want no more comparisons, this is a marathon. And I'm aware I've been playing a bet from a lack of promotions. I never was one for the bragging and boasting, I guess I was hoping to.
All right, let's go.
Yo, except with them, their swimmers aren't undercooked. And I'm sorry if that ruined seahorses for you. No, like, actually, I'm sorry. So sorry, in fact, that with the help of ChatGPT, I'm going to genuinely apologize for my actions by not apologizing at all. I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment. ChatGPT is just one of the services provided by the sponsor of this video, Opera Browser. Opera's AI tools let you utilize your browser. Its unluckiest children into an infinite food hack. Not enough to truly threaten the survival of the next generation, but just enough for me to confidently say you can find about 10 better fathers in nature. Like, for example, the fox. Like the seahorse, the red fox is often monogamous, meaning that one Spider-Verse line can easily apply to them too. At first, Father Fox has a full-time job bringing back food to his partner who stays home with the kids. But as they get older, that's when the tough love starts. Once the foxlets start getting bigger and more capable, their dad starts showing up with less and less food.
But is that not how it is in real life? Like, is there not a correlation? Is there not? The last time that I checked, that's exactly how it should be. Why? Because I only got but so many years here. One day I'm not going to be here. I need for you to know how to pass this. That show me that you can do this. Go ahead, do it. Get out there and do the damn thing, because we won't exist if we all fail after birth. So you know what? Don't we as humans have something called tough love, right? Tough love, right? And I think we keep forgetting about what that tough really consists of. Sometimes that tough means you need to get up out there on your own. Get up, get out, and get something. Let's go.
Instead, he'll start burying the extra food near the den and even cover it up with twigs and brush in order to teach his kids how to be more independent and find it themselves. And that's not the only life lesson served by Father Fox.
Look at that. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to play Easter egg hunt. I already caught the food. It's here. But I'm just going to hide it around the house. This is your first test run on how to search for food. This is how we get your senses and your smell, how to dig, how to all of that up to par, all the way down to rank and who becomes the alpha in the end of it all once you all grow. Come on now, that is gorgeous.
Because in an area where foxes were getting murked by coyotes, researchers noticed male foxes playing with their kids by chasing and ambushing them, almost like they were trying to teach the next generation how to avoid predators. And speaking of coyotes, you'll find that there are some W dads too. Coyotes are just as loyal, and sometimes even death doesn't make them find a new mate. Coyote couples typically hunt together, but as scavengers who will often finesse food from much bigger threats like wolves and bears, it's usually the male that'll stake out a possible bounty first while his...
Yes, and that is the same correlation to how jackals, which are very, very small, looks just like right there, but smaller. Jackals and hyenas finesse lions. Same thing. When they get a big, big kill, they just stand around and wait to finesse. Let's go.
His mate watches from a safe distance. That way, if worse comes to worse and he gets put on a shirt, his mate still has a chance to raise their children as a single mother. You wouldn't see a seahorse do that. And honestly, wild canids in general kind of break the rule of male mammals being more of a deadbeat than a roadside raccoon. Father wolves are just as overprotective as you'd expect. Here, you can see a father wolf harassing a black bear and trying to get it to chase him after the bear wandered and got too close to his pups hidden near some trees. And African wild dogs will actually let the pups feed first rather than have the most alpha male get first serves and have everyone else fall in line.
Wow. So the wild dogs actually let the kids eat first. Yeah, so when y'all think, oh, the male lion always, there are some species and breeds where dad don't eat first. The kids eat first. Prime example right here.
They've also been known to spend days looking for any lost pups.
Those are jackals.
But the gold standard of dog fathers would have to be the golden jackal.
Yep.
We've rescued the new salted caramel bun.
Yep, the golden jackal. I absolutely love all of these different species and how they operate. Let's go ahead and get through this real quick. I got you, y'all. My bad. 1 second. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. And let's pull this back up. Hold on. Where's my mouse? Oh, here it is. I gotta get a new battery.
Coyotes, they'll often go grocery shopping together. And when his partner's pregnant, Father Jackal digs a burrow for his mate to rest in, and he'll defend that den with his life if it gets to that point.
I want you to hear that again. What happens? I want you to hear what we do, even in nature.
And like with coyotes, they'll often go grocery shopping together. And when his partner's pregnant, Father Jackal digs a burrow for his mate to rest in, and he'll defend that den with his life if it gets to that point. And once the pups are born, the male jackal will go to any lengths to find enough food, even if it means squaring up with wild boars or stealing food from right under the nose of tigers or wolves. And even
do you see the difference in size? Let me blow this up. I want you to imagine being dad. And that's, you got the heart to go against that to bring food back home. This is why I don't want to hear no excuses from no niggas out here, from no men out here. Imagine being that size. Amazing. Let's get it.
Even though he risks everything for food, most of what he eats just gets regurgitated back at the den for his kids. They're top tier dads, because if anything ever happened to the male jackal, there's a good chance the mother wouldn't be able to keep the kids alive on her own. So yeah, wild dogs seem...
If anything happens to dad, more than likely mom and the kids are ass out. Ain't that something? Now I'm only showing this to show, hey, there is a cooperation and balance in all of this, because mind you, everything dad is doing is because it's not just for him. It's because of what it is that dad needs to protect and provide for. There's also a whole nother story on how these very same animals go off and die when their entire everything is wiped out. Dad winds up dying simply from starvation and dehydration of depression, just like a man would. Let's rock out.
To mostly beat the deadbeat dad allegations, but at least they have a partner they can count on. Meanwhile, the great value ostrich of the Andes has to hard carry the whole bloodline by himself. The Rhea is a player who runs game on up to 10 females who all take turns dropping eggs in his nest. That's about as far as Mother Rheas contribute, as they leave the male to look after the massive family by himself. Daddy Rhea will even live off a quarter of the food he normally would, since he'd rather...
Nah, hold on. I want to hear this again. Actually, hold on. Wait a minute.
The den for his kids. They're top tier dads, because if anything ever happened to the male jackal, there's a good chance the mother wouldn't be able to keep the kids alive on her own. So yeah, wild dogs seem to mostly beat the deadbeat dad allegations, but at least they have a partner they can count on. Meanwhile, the great value ostrich of the Andes has to hard carry the whole bloodline by himself. The Rhea is a
great value ostrich. Okay, the Rhea.
Player who runs game on up to 10 females who all take turns dropping eggs in his nest. That's about...
Well, hold on now. If he's running game on all these women, is it not his responsibility to take care of all of these kids? I'm just saying.
Wait, you think I didn't think of that? Of course I thought of that.
Yes, I did.
About as far as Mother Rheas contribute, as they leave the male to look after the massive family by himself. Daddy Rhea will even live off a quarter of the food he normally would, since he'd rather starve than leave his nest of up to 60 eggs unsupervised for too long.
Wow, a nest of up to 60. Dad stays and will starve himself. Listen, I just want to give at least, look, if we want to say is no good black dads out here or men dads, okay, at least nature got some. I'm going to find a good father somewhere, okay? I'm going to find a good dad, all right? Oh, man, salute to the family. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Let's listen more.
Being a stay-at-home single father only gets more difficult after they hatch, where Latin Big Bird acts as their bodyguard, while also teaching his class of chicks where to find food and where to best avoid becoming it. All while his baby moms try out every flavor of male like samples at a mall, because female Rheas are for the whole prairie. But I'm pretty sure the father Rhea likes it that way, since once the eggs are laid, he'll chase off anything with a pulse that even looks at them the wrong way, even if anything includes an amorous female. Daddy Rhea puts his... Actually, that sounds kind of gross. Father Rhea puts his kids first, but he's not the only member of the rat-type family that does. Cast warriors are like if nature engineered an animal with the sole goal of f***ing with my sanity. But even this Jurassic drumstick finds time to be an S-tier father. Female cassowaries also social distance from their eggs and children, leaving the parenting all up to the male. And even though...
I really honestly, I just wanted to let everybody know that the cassowary is definitely by far one of the most dangerous animals, not just birds. Like those and what are they called? Sheesh. The shoe horn. I mean the shoe bill. There we go. The shoe bill. Those and shoe bills. Yeah, be easy with them. Be real easy with those birds. You will lose your life seriously.
Though cassowaries are actually really shy and would rather run from smoke than to it, a male will turn it up to 100 if his children are involved. And just like his cousin the Rhea, the blueberry flavored paralysis chicken spends 9 months raising its
And I think they stand pretty tall. They come eye to eye with like most average humans, if not, a little taller.
of chicks, teaching them how to survive until they can successfully do it on their own. In fact, cassowaries are such devoted dads that the whole reason we call them the most dangerous bird in the world is likely because of the lengths we've seen them go to protect their children. In 2012, a photographer was charged and yeeted off a cliff by a hostile cassowary that I am now willing to bet had some kids in the area. But considering both them and Rheas have to carry the well-being of their entire family on their backs, I don't blame them for lashing out. The giant water bug does the same thing, except with them, it gets ridiculously literal. Water bugs will lay their eggs above the water, and it's the male that stands guard and defends them against risks to minor safety, which includes scaring off other females that would easily turn his pride and joy into protein powder. There's even one type of water bug that'll physically carry up to 150 eggs all on his back.
Yep, and the male scorpion does the same thing.
With his future progeny glued to him, the male water bug is stuck like that for weeks, while his mate gets to go out
certain breeds, that is,
and act like a free agent switching teams and looks for a new male to dump dependence on. In this time, the father water bug can't fly, can't eat as much, he has to constantly climb up to the surface to let his eggs get air, and he's a much easier target for predators. But at least with him, the back-breaking labor of being a father ends the moment they hatch. I'm sure there's a certain crocodilian that wishes it was that easy. You probably wouldn't expect a cold-blooded predatory sledgehammer to have a section in a video about great fathers.
Wow. And to think, we're about to hear how crocodiles and alligators can be great dads. Let's listen.
But if that were true, this picture wouldn't exist. This is a male gharial acting as a sentient school bus for about 100 of his kids.
And just so you know it's a gharial when you see the extremely skinny snout with the big nose in front. That's automatically a gharial.
Normally, croc miners ride shotgun inside their parents' jaws, but armed with a mouthpiece designed for griefing fish, instead they choose to be on water bug timing.
All right, boom. 1 second, if you don't mind. Respect to the family. Let's go ahead and get it.
Shit right there. Question. How many faking they streams? Getting they plays from machines. I can see behind the smoke and mirrors, niggas ain't really big as they seem.
Yet the guy gharial flexes a whole harem of females as procreation partners, and he
Automatically, gharial. Don't call it a crocodile. Don't call it an alligator. It's a gharial.
gets to be the one to play one-man daycare as he guards them all. He might not be close to the single father, the Rhea, cassowary, and water.
And for the record, gharials are known to be specifically, they eat other things here and there, but they are fish eaters. That's what really separates them. Like crocodiles, alligators, they'll eat like, whatever's like of meat, flesh, like anything big enough, right? Gharials are strategic fish hunters.
Bagar, since his mates don't go out for milk indefinitely, but gharials might be the most unexpected animal on here. And right there with him are frogs. For example, the smooth guardian frog, that's his name by the way, I'm not making that up, he flexes his parental prowess by being the one to stay with the eggs and guard them after his mate lays them into the ground.
Yep, and you also have frogs that actually carry their tadpoles, if you would say, on their backs. They put them into flowers. Literally into flowers. They put them into flowers, and then what they do is they go find a female to feed them, and it doesn't have to be necessarily that mother. That's what's wild about it. But they will go find a female to basically regurgitate something, I guess you can say, or some form of fashion, and feed them, like nurse them. And then the father steps off and goes to each one. Now, mind you, he has like several, if not tens or double digits of all of these flower nests. And dad hops from flower to flower, tree to tree, checking on every last one. Again, I don't want to hear nothing from no dude. No man gonna tell me nothing when it comes to taking care of your own. That's why I go so hard. Why? Because I learned the most about God through God's creation, nature, which we are a part of. Let's keep on rocking out.
And after almost 2 weeks of waiting, he's the one that carries the tadpoles on his back after they hatch, and he's the one that finds a nice pool for his brood to finish developing in. And it's not like he just dumps them in the first source of water he finds. Nah, not only are they particular about where and what they put their tadpoles in, the father will even equally divide his children between pools if he can. Like if he's carrying 20 tadpoles, he'll put 10 in one pool, 10 in the other. They're not the only frogs that take a cue from Dom Toretto and put family first.
Absolutely.
The giant African bullfrog can have not hundreds, but thousands of little ankle biters in a breeding season, and it's the dad that looks after them all. And for almost a month, he defends them like a slimy, water-loving pit bull, biting anything that even looks like a threat. Yeah, they have teeth, by the way. He'll even go out of his way to dig a canal to...
Now, that is something else I just learned, along with you. I don't know if you didn't know that. I didn't. I didn't know there was any breed of frog that had teeth. I knew bullfrogs. Listen, now, mind you, I'm going to tell you the frog that really blows my mind. That is the Pac-Man frog, okay? The Pac-Man frog, I believe, is bigger than the bullfrog. Pac-Man frog gets about, maybe about the size of a dinner plate. I want you to imagine a frog that size. Absolutely out of this world. I had no clue that there was a frog that had teeth. I need to see that again. Don't mind me. I do little stuff like that. It got teeth?
Pit bull, biting anything that even looks like a threat. Yeah, they have...
What? I never knew that. You see how we learn something every day? When you get outside of what the norm is? Let's keep on going.
Teeth, by the way. He'll even go out of his way to dig a canal to a bigger pond if he notices that the one his kids are swimming in starts to dry up. They're solid fathers, although admittedly they can resort to seahorse behavior by eating some of the kids he was...
Now, the reason why that is because, believe it or not, that is a natural organic process of population control. I promise you, you just might want them to do that to a couple 100,000 of them. Because if they never did, I'm telling you, I'm going to show you a video of what happens with crabs when they give birth and when they go on land. Let me show you a video of that.
Guarding. But then again, cannibalism is kind of what frogs do. Darwin's frog will also eat his own children, but with them, they have a process. It's kind of what frogs do.
All right, so that right there, my bad. This right here.
Eating some of the kids he was guarding. But then again,
bow, that's a Pac-Man right there. I know the patterns. That's a Pac-Man. I don't know how big it is, but that definitely looked like a Pac-Man.
Cannibalism is kind of what frogs do. Darwin's frog will also eat his own children, but with them, they have a process. After his girl lays and leaves, once again, he's the one that sits with them and waits for them to start moving. Once they do, instead of backpacking his family, Darwin's frog takes it a step further by swallowing the eggs, letting them develop in his vocal sacs. And when they're ready, he delivers them to the world by puking his progeny out. And depending on how you define birth, you can...
Hey, bro, hold on. Hold on. Oh, man. He eat the kids? Hold on, man. Let me hear that again. Let me hear that one more time.
Also eat his own children, but with them, they have a process. After his girl lays and leaves, once again, he's the one that sits with them and waits for them to start moving. Once they do, instead of backpacking his family, Darwin's frog takes it a step further by swallowing the eggs, letting them develop in his vocal sacs. And when they're ready, he delivers them to the world by puking his progeny out. And depending on how you define birth, you can argue that seahorses aren't the only fathers that qualify for paternity leave. They're definitely not the only fish.
Oh my God. Wow. Let's take a moment. Let's go ahead and listen. See, this is why nature fascinates me, because it's like, what the, you know what I'm saying? Let's go and get back to it.
Stickleback. It starts with the male stickleback creating a nest for his females to lay their eggs, and he holds the nest together using a special glue formed by kidneys. That stuff isn't exactly.
Hey, I'm gonna be real with you. There's a couple things I do not have a taste for after watching that. Cheese and crackers it is for about a day.
Easy to make, and the stronger the current of the river he's in, the more kidney glue he has to use in his house. And sometimes the cost of making his own product means he dies soon after spawning. But the ones that don't get Mufasa in the process revolve their entire lives around their families. They constantly have to chase off jealous rivals, and he'll spend most of the day fanning his clutch of eggs so that they can get enough oxygen while also washing away parasites. And
can you imagine having to, like, wow, you gotta, and listen, don't we do that? There are certain parts of the earth where, moms or dads, they gotta rotate, they gotta keep fanning the kid or whatever in the net, in the crib or what have you, because it might be too hot where they are. They don't have air conditioning and so on and so forth, right? That's a real thing. I ain't just talking about like in third world countries. There are places here where it just got too hot and the baby in the house and y'all trying to keep the baby cool. Look at that. See the connection?
And waste. And they'll even go as far as guarding the fry up to a week after they hatch. And he's not the only fish that's known for playing Mr. Mom. The common goby often raises hundreds of eggs by himself, the same way the stickleback does. Except the goby's also likely to eat the eggs that take the longest to hatch, just so he can dive back into the dating pool sooner. So maybe seahorses aren't that bad. But if you're looking for a father that you can trust with 100% of your children, we gotta talk monkeys. With golden lion tamarins, it really does take a village.
Wow. Okay. All right. So we're getting into the primates, y'all. We're getting into primates. Let's see what's being talked about.
To raise a baby, and nobody takes more of a role than the father, because he's the one that grooms, plays with, and carries his kid around. In fact, the only time he leaves them with the mother is so they can nurse, and even then he takes them right back. Not only that, but
look at that. And I hear about sisters being like, come pick your kids up, and y'all got a hard time. This is a shame. Listen, I'm trying to figure out why animals when I listen to this and I'm hearing what I'm hearing, why animals putting most humans to shame? Why is this happening? So you tell me a monkey dad has more priority over the kids than most these niggas out? Man, stop playing with me right now, bro.
Even act as a midwife during birth, as the father will help clean the baby fresh out the womb and even bite off the umbilical cord. And it's far from just them. Owl monkeys
don't need no doctor biting the umbilical cord off. I didn't even do that. He just put me to shame. I relied on the doctor, and when I seen it, man, stop playing. Listen, when I actually saw how that whole thing works out, right? I got sick. He went mandingo and bit the umbilical cord and said, give me my kid. I got it. You don't need to smack no butt. I got this. Nah, just squirt some of that titty milk into this cup. We going around the corner. I'm taking my son somewhere. Listen, this is what I'm talking about.
Also have the father as the de facto parent, with the mom only carrying around the infant for the first week. And now we know why. Mother marmosets like the golden.
Wait, I like that right there. I like that comment right there. So because they're not tainted, okay, I want more. Give me some more of that. What you mean? What you mean, girl? Huh? They're not tainted by or from what? By or from what? Go ahead. Tell me what they're not tainted by.
And tamarin often have to pop out twins that add up to 25% of her body weight. Birth is not a fun process, and it's now believed that the physical toll it takes on the mother is why the males are the ones that take the lead in parenting. Meaning, marmosets are the only other animals that figured out the concept of maternity leave.
Wow. Marmosets are the only form that have developed the concept of maternity leave. It's crazy.
Also, the fact that males literally put their families first. You see, the thing is, with most male mammals, an ovulating female instantly triggers a rise in testosterone. It's why those same male mammals are often good at making babies, not so much raising them. But a study showed that while single males marmosets reacted strongly to pheromones from females, the spoken for father marmosets really couldn't care less. So not only are they devoted fathers, they're also loyal enough husbands to reject any females for their family's sake. Some humans can't relate to that. And we never thought a tiger could either, but this one managed to change a lot of what we thought we knew about them.
Now, this is where it gets interesting. Let's peep this right here. All right, now, hold on now. Yeah, I know what I got to do, and you know where I'm going. We're getting ready to bring it.
Black Air Force energy. E243 was a male tiger in an Indian reserve who confused scientists by single-handedly raising 4 cubs after his mate and baby mother passed tense. He'd share his kills with them, seemingly patrol the cubs' territory for danger. There was even a time where he brought down a whole cow, but didn't take any for himself and instead left it all for his cubs. And even though at this time he was an
That's all right. First of all, I want us to think about how much energy it'll take a person to just cut up a whole cow when it's already dead and serve it, gut it, string it, that entire process. Takes down a whole live one. You have to understand the energy it takes to do that. You ever gone to work out before? You ever come back from the gym and you just hungry? You ever just be active enough and you hungry? Do you not know how much energy it takes to take down a whole cow? And then you just lay that cow down. You like, go ahead, y'all get it. Stop playing with me, man. And all we get is socks and ties.
eligible bachelor. For a while, it seemed like 243 was actively rejecting the advances of females just to keep his cubs a priority. This flew in the face of everything we originally thought about male tigers being just as deadbeat as their prey. And there's a good chance this wasn't just an exception. There was another case where a male named T25 was caught playing protector for a pair of orphan cubs.
Y'all hold on 1 second. Give me 1 moment. We're going to take a quick commercial break while I take this quick call, okay? Forgive me. Give me 1 moment. Shoot.
Shit like that. Question. How many faking they streams, getting they plays from machines? I can see behind the smoke and mirrors, niggas ain't really big as they seem. I never say anything, everybody got their thing. Some niggas make millions, other niggas make memes. I'm on a money routine, I don't want smoke, I want cream. I don't want no more comparisons, this is a marathon. And I'm aware I've been playing a bet from a lack of promotions. I never was one for the bragging and boasting. I guess I was hoping the music would speak for itself, but the people want everything else. Okay, no problem, I show up on every one album, you know what the outcome will be. I'm betting 1,000, it's got to the point that these rappers don't even like rapping with me. Fucking come my nigga 21 Savages hit me and told me he sent me a spot on a new record he got. He called it a lie, I opened my book and I jot. Paper Takashi, they wanting to rap. I picture him inside a cell on a cot, reflecting on how he made it to the top, wondering if it was worth it or not. I pray for my kill cause they fucked up his shot. Just want you to know that you got it, my nigga. Though I never met you, I know that you special. And that the Lord bless you, don't doubt it, my nigga. Dennis Smith Jr., stay solid, my nigga. I'm on a tangent, not how I planned it. I had some fans that hopped in a band and shit when they thought that I wasn't gonna pan. Now I got a plan, they say this.
All right, so everybody, I thank you all for tuning in. Please forgive me. I have to go ahead. I got to take care of some personal business. And with that being said, I love you all. I digress. My mic is muted. Listen, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do a part 2. And forgive me for this, but, family come first. Respect to you all. Let's get it.
I digress. My mic is muted.
Yeah, for sure, Smitty. Bro, I'm telling you, bro, we got to just change up some shit, bro, sometime. You know what I'm saying? We got to come with different flavors and vibes. And the fact that you want to come hang with us, bro, you more than welcome, bro. Don't be a stranger, please. Like, because I've been hearing about you, seeing you on other panels and shit, holding it down. You feel me? I ain't never heard no bullshit about you. That's for sure.